You don't need to be ashamed of the journey of how you got to where you are today. It's part of my journey.
Dana Devine has lived with a secret most of her life. It's a battle she's overcome in some ways, but still struggles with every single day.
It doesn't go away just because I don't have an active eating disorder today. I still have disordered eating, and I still have disordered thinking, and it's something I have to battle like every single day.
She became bulimic as a young girl, and when you hear her story, it's no wonder she struggled with body image and her relationship with food.
So for most of my life, I never shared that I had an eating disorder or bulimia or anything like that. I never told a single soul, not even my very best friend, that I was throwing up, that I was, eating everything in the house and throwing up. Nobody knew that except me for a very long time, literally until my 20s when I got caught by my roommate. One day, the Girl Scouts had come to my door and I had bought some Girl Scout cookies and I ate the entire box. And then I started, getting rid of it. And so this particular day, it was harder for me, for whatever reason, to get rid of it. And so when she walked in, I can't even imagine what she saw. But, my face was really red and I was sweating and, I just didn't even say anything about it. I just grabbed a glass of water and then I said, I'm going for a run. And I went out and went for a run. And while I'm on the run, I'm like, how am I going to explain this? I needed to get space to figure out what I was going to say to her. Well, by the time I got back, my mom was there. She'd already called my mom. And she said that she'd suspected it for a while.
Dana's mother was right. It had been happening since Dana was in middle school, and it largely all started from comments made by Dana's own father.
My father was the only word I can use is disgusted when he saw women that he thought were in a body that was too big. And he would make comments and like if we were at a restaurant, he'd push his food away and he'd say, would you look at that? And it was just always known to me that he thought that, women who were in a bigger body were disgusting.
So he would push his food away when he saw a bigger woman?
Really. And he'd say, would you look at that? Just totally disgusting. So he made a lot of comments that just absolutely reinforced that behavior. We're gonna have to take you down to the truck stop to weigh you. If you keep eating like that, we're gonna have to take you down to the truck stop. Or when it was time to buy school clothes, he would say, well, better call Omar the tent maker. But interestingly enough, he always insisted that we finish the food on our plate. So it was kind of a mixed message that I would get, that you don't want to be overweight, but you need to finish the food on your plate. So both of those were kind of a struggle for me all through my childhood. And then the entire time I was dating boys, like in high school and college, I never ate in front of them because for some reason I had the idea that if people saw me eating, they would think I was disgusting. So I never ate in front of people, and surely I didn't purge in front of people. But I did sneak food all the time. Like I remember my parents always had this Sara Lee carrot cake in the refrigerator. And in the middle of the night, I would go and just take the frosting off of it. And so imagine the next, day when they wanted to go get a piece of, carrot cake, there's no frosting on it, but they never said anything. And so I would just completely binge on the sweets. It's like your body is craving what you deny it. But I hid food all the time, or hid eating all the time, I should say. Never actually hid the food, but I definitely wanted people to believe that I ate very little. My worth from a very young age was tied to my weight, and it was reinforced, over and over again. I remember one time I went to visit my father. He was living in California, and I went to visit him, and I passed out from not eating because I was trying to be skinny for when I was there with him. One other time, my mom took me to the hospital in the middle of the night because I was having severe pain. And the doctor that examined me asked my mom, does she have an eating disorder? And my mom said, no. And I'm thinking to myself, well, yeah. And she said, well, she's had a gallbladder attack. And usually for a girl this age, it's because of binging and purging. And so that was the first time a doctor had told me. And then when my mom left the room, she talked to me about how dangerous it was and the damage that I could do to my stomach lining and to my esophagus. And then fast forward years later, I have damaged my esophagus and I have acid reflux that's really, it has to be controlled with medication because of bulimia. So yeah, I mean, it's ever present what I have done to myself.
For those of us that struggle with eating disorders, it can be easy to stay in the shame and the overwhelming feeling that there is something wrong with us. But this is why it's so helpful to hear stories like Dana's and to then reflect on our own journey to see how we came to form the relationship we did with our bodies and food. And the more we can understand how a human brain works when presented with threats or trauma, the easier it becomes to stop shaming ourselves and ask for help.
The whole driver behind my eating disorder was male attention. And I think it goes back to, I'm sure it's psychology, but if it goes back to wanting my dad's approval. And the way to get my dad's approval was to be thin. And so when I was desired or found desirable by a man, to me, I had won. And that, I think, drove me for years and years and years until I married the man I'm married to now. We've been married for 10 years and he's so supportive, couldn't care less what size body I'm in. He just loves me for me. And that's been a really cathartic thing to be finally accepted for who I am. But it's really the first time in my life that I have had that experience.
Well, and how long did it take you to believe him?
A long time. It took me a long time to believe that anybody would find me desirable just for my personality and my accomplishments and just to love my heart and my mind instead of, caught up on, how I look. It's taken a lot of convincing and patience on his part. But the message has always been clear from him that he doesn't care what size my body is. He loves me. And it's pretty cool when you find that.
The belief that we should eat as little as possible, that we should control, count, and plan every bit of food that goes into our bodies, it's a message that's been pushed for decades by diet culture. But what I can speak to from my own experience is that buying into the beliefs of diet culture, it doesn't help us at all. Instead, it makes thoughts of food and the size of our bodies consume our minds. And this is what Dana is still struggling with today.
It's 100% exhausting. Everything has to be compartmentalized in my brain. Everything has to fall into a meal. And that's why I don't snack, because snacks don't fall in anywhere. But my nutritionist has been teaching me that I have to have breakfast, snack, lunch, snack, dinner, snack. And that is very overwhelming.
Do you feel like you've had moments of feeling like your eating disordered brain is like over there and then you're suddenly in Dana's brain that's not disordered eating, or do you feel like that is just always there? Have you been able to separate the two?
I have not. And at first when I started doing the breakfast snack, lunch snack, dinner snack. And at first I didn't gain weight, but then I started to gain weight and then I started reverting back to old behaviors. I mean, I have all these rules that nobody else has. But would I like to go on vacation and just eat the cookie? Yes, I would. That is my dream world.
That dream world is possible. And it's why Dana has started seeing a nutritionist who specializes in eating disorders, hoping to quiet the food rules and thoughts that consume her. What I can tell you from my own experience as someone who also battled bulimia is that the solution for me was exactly opposite what diet culture tells us to do. I completely got rid of food rules, and it brought me food freedom. And what I mean by food freedom, it's not that I just eat anything and everything all the time. It's really just allowed me not to think about food all the time and to operate from more of an intuitive place. And when I have a craving, I honor it. And I know this is scary for those of us who have this struggle. So if you want to dive a little deeper into Dana's story and my conversation with her, listen to her full episode on the new podcast, Uncovered: The Secrets We Hide. You can listen on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. As for Dana, I think what I'm so inspired by from her is that she really is still struggling with a lot of the thoughts that come with disordered eating, but she's here to say, you know what? This is my story and it's okay. We all have struggles, and bringing our struggles into the light is the first step in allowing ourselves to heal.
I try to say to myself all the time that, I celebrate my body. Like when I'm out on a long walk, I celebrate the fact that, I'm 58 years old and I can, walk 10,000 steps a day, and that I'm strong, I'm healthy, I can do these things, and, try to be thankful for those things, and just realize that your body is an instrument, not an ornament.